Hi, welcome back to our live stream. This is our first live stream for the week. And sorry. Okay, without further ado, let's start. What you can see now is you want to stop dumbing down your brilliance. So you feel that you have this 4K brain. So you studied your field. Maybe you are in marketing, or you are in IT, or you're a doctor, or maybe you are in hospitality. You are a trained manager. So you have everything in your brain. So you studied for many years and you are an expert. You believe that you have that 4K brain or 4K capacity. But when you start talking, you feel that people in the room are losing interest. Okay. And that's normal for non-native English speakers. And the more painful thing is that practice does not fix this overnight. So vocabulary apps, they don't fix this. So you don't really need more words. So even if you know like 20,000 words or vocabulary words, if you don't know how to use the rhythm of authority, like what we say normally say in the English crew, we always say that you should master the rhythm of authority. When you speak, you should know when to emphasize those words. So if you speak and behave like a child, like a student, you will always be viewed like a junior. So you will always be there at that junior level. So today I'm showing you the executive, what I call executive pre-compression. So this is a technique that for those of you who feel that you sound like a student or childlike and your sentences are too basic. So let's work on that. Okay, we're going to upgrade your rhythm of authority, and you will be able to rephrase your sentences into something with sounding like someone with authority. And let's stop dumbing down your expertise, like what you see in this picture. You have an expert level English, I'm sorry, knowledge, but the way you construct is like a Lego or like a building block of a kid. All right. And we don't want that. Now we have a table here. So if you always make your ideas or express your ideas in simple words, you look like a junior. Okay, so here's a table. First column here, junior version. We have a big problem with the server. So if you're in IT, you might say that to your boss or someone higher. The big problem with the server is that it's not just too basic. Big is an opinion, okay? But if you rephrase that to something like, we have identified a critical bottleneck in the server architecture. Let me just check my audio if it's working, okay? Right, it's working. So we have identified a critical bottleneck in the server architecture. So it sounds like a diagnosis. You sound more professional, and you will be viewed as someone who really knows, who gets into the detail of your work, the details of your work. Number two, I want to talk about the plan. It's very basic conversation. How can you upgrade that to the executive version? I'd like to align on the strategic roadmap. Okay, that sounds complex, but if you're in a meeting, believe me, okay, it will not sound funny. It will sound that you have the authority and you know what you're talking about. Also, try to practice how you say it, okay? I'd like to align on the strategic roadmap. Another thing is the data is good. We like the result. We move fast. So what's the problem here? It's very choppy. So if you're a non-native English speaker, it is very common. So you say the data is good, we like the result, we move fast. So you don't sound credible. Okay? So instead of saying that, you say given the high quality of the data, we are confident in the result, which allows us to accelerate our timeline. So you can use this for our friends in marketing. We can use this phrasing. You can use this as a model. For example, you are trying to run a campaign, marketing campaign. So you can say, given the high quality of the leads, right? So you use that in marketing. Given the high quality of the leads, we are confident in the result of this marketing campaign, which allows us to accelerate our timeline, or which allows us to increase the budget by 20%. So you normally phrase it that way. If you're going to give a recommendation for your team, marketing team, you can use this according to your industry. So for this one, we have identified a critical bottleneck in the server architecture. So that's for IT. So you can modify that. Let's say you are in a hospital, you're working in healthcare. So we have identified a critical bottleneck in managing our patients. So we need to prioritize our patients and create this triage. Triage is like you create the level of importance. So we have the critical, medium, and or needs attention, okay, and critical. So you prioritize the one on top. Okay, so simple words make your complex ideas look junior. Okay, here's a simple example. These are a set of words. So good, bad, think, maybe, problem. So what's the problem with this? So it sounds like junior. So instead of using this all the time, good, bad, think, maybe, problem. So you can say optimal, suboptimal, strategize, validate, bottleneck, prioritize. Okay, so those are more professional sounding words that you can use at work to be viewed as someone who is higher or has the potential to be promoted to the next level. Okay, another habit that we have for those who are non native English speakers, we keep on translating word for word. So it kills your professional weight. For example, in the Thai, in our for our Thai students, we have often it's like Thai for Thai people. Most of the time, it's topic first or it's context. So I understand Thai in terms of like it's they communicate in context. Okay, so but in English, normally the format is subject, verb, and object. So by the time you've rearranged the blocks in your head to fit the English grammar, the conversation has moved on. So you're talking to someone from the UK, so you're still trying to decode what they're trying to say, and then there's another person here, another native speaker, and then the conversation has moved on. So there's this mental lag. Okay, so you cannot keep up. So what's the impact? You look hesitant. So in a high stakes meeting, hesitation is often misread as a lack of knowledge not a lack of vocabulary. So they will view you as someone who cannot keep up. So you cannot understand what's going on in the in the meeting, especially if you're having a meeting with your global team. So it could be inside a room or in a Zoom call. So you will have that look that you are not sure or you don't understand what's going on or what they're talking about. So try to avoid word for word translation. Okay, try to think in chunks. Okay, let's talk about that later. Okay, next is professional English relies on modals like could, should, might, would to show diplomacy and authority. Okay, so if you have the junior brain or junior version of yourself, version 1.0, so you're using direct translation. You say you must do this now. So sounds like a command and childish. It looks like you don't respect your colleague or someone higher than you. So instead of saying that, you say it would be beneficial if we prioritize this immediately. So you sound like you have a strategy or you have a plan. Okay. When you translate word for word, you lose the diplomatic layer. You end up sounding either too aggressive or too passive. Simply because you are missing the nuance that isn't present in a literal translation. So when you say nuance, it's like you have this variety. So in a conversation, it's not just by the book. Like if you read a grammar book, everything is scripted. It's like everything is arranged and you have a specific response to this type of sentence or phrase. But in real life, it's different. When you communicate with your boss or a global team, it's different. So the conversation, you should learn how to manage that nuanced conversation. So there could be some humor or yeah, it depends on your work culture. You should be able to manage that. How do you maintain this nuanced conversations? Like there's a variety. You don't just respond like a robot. Okay. Yeah. So utilize these models like could. So I could use an assistant to interpret the data or marketing data. Okay, I should finish this by EOD or end of day. Word for word translation creates a staccato rhythm, staccato. For those who are familiar with music terms like music theory, you know when you say staccato, it's like an Italian word. It's like there's this when you're trying to sing a song. Like I remember during university days, we have this song like in choral music, like me mitsika, me motsika, or something like that. Like there's a there's this accent to it, like word pause, staccato, like staccato. so so it's like when you're singing, you're giving emphasis to the words, and it can be sounding too choppy. Okay, so authority in English comes from thought groups. So you should learn to communicate in terms of thought groups or phrases. Okay, so instead of memorizing a single vocabulary word, try to think in chunks or thought groups, linking words together in one fluid idea. So you have these phrases. That's why when you read the pocketbook or stories you see, you get familiarized with you can familiarize yourselves with the common phrases that native speakers are using. So through time, when you read these stories, it goes into your memory bank and you can use it. You won't notice it at first, but in the long run, you will notice that you're using those phrases. So that's why sometimes it's also good if you can read fiction books. Okay, so you can get hooked in the story and then you start to imbibe or absorb those phrases without you knowing it. That's why reading is also important if you are learning English or any other language. You start with stories, okay? Because our brains are wired to listen to stories. Translation is like a dial-up connection. Executive English is broadband, so it's faster. The ideas flow in chunks. So if you translate, you are stuck in dial-up, which kills your professional weight. First is listening. You just listen to English, okay? You have your streaming service, you have Netflix, YouTube is free. You just watch TED Talks. If you would like to make it more relaxed, maybe you would like to watch a TV series like Friends, okay? So it's like conversational. But if you would like to sound like an executive, I suggest that you watch a lot of TED Talks so you will master how people in the upper management how they communicate their thoughts, okay? So they just don't overuse the up talk. So if you know up talk, it's like when you deliver your sentence like always ending with a high high tone like is it true? So it's always you're it sounds like you're not sure about what you're talking about, so you're unsure all the time. So if you notice executives and those in upper management, they have this downward tone to make it sound like you are sure and you're not having second thoughts or something like that. Okay, so high level executives don't use the most words, they use the best timed word. So it's timing. Okay, so it's like music. If you have 10,000 words but no rhythm, you sound like a dictionary in a blender. But if you have 500 words, limited words, and the rhythm of authority, you sound like a CEO. Okay, so authority in English is about stress and intonation. It's knowing which words to punch and which ones to let slide. That is the rhythm that signals seniority. So you know how to pause, you know how to emphasize this word and just let the other words slide. Okay. So you already have the 4K brain. That's the expertise, okay? So the solution is pre-compressed frameworks. So instead of searching for a fancier word, like what they say, fancier sounds like a big word. So use power verbs and strategic pauses. So I'll give you an example. Instead of searching for a word better than good, use the word good but with a second pause afterward. So you say, the results were good. Okay, so see the power? So when you say the results were good, so you make them think, hey, what's the next word? Okay, so you emphasize that it's a positive thing. Okay, a positive thing happened because of maybe a marketing campaign, you increase the sales. Okay, so you say, the results were good. Okay, so you pause a bit. Okay. The pause creates the weight, not the word. Okay. That's why when you're watching TED Talks, you can analyze the talk and try to spot where did they pause. So that's powerful because you will find yourself watching the whole thing because of that speaking style. Okay. So you need to master that rhythm. Okay. So stop speaking word by word. Start speaking in chunks of value. Okay. So beginners speak in words. Professional speak in ideas. Okay. So your ideas matter. So it's not just words. It's the thought. Okay. So junior rhythm, I want to talk about the budget. So it's very choppy. Instead of saying that, you say, I'd like to discuss the budget implications for Q3. So you give emphasis to Q3 or quarter three. You use the strategic pause. Okay. When you master the rhythm, your brain actually has more time to think because you aren't processing 10 separate words. You're processing 2 to 3 logical blocks. That's how the brain works. It's not thinking in terms of like if you're doing the disc jockey thing, like they say, oh, we don't want dead air. In the rhythm of authority, it's okay because you know when to pause or have that split second dead air. So instead of saying or ah, you use the power of pause. All right. So if you are serious with your English proficiency and you'd like to communicate like a leader, we have this QR code on the screen. Just feel free to scan, or you can click the link in the description below. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's already in the description. And you can also click this on Facebook in our Facebook Live. I'm going to put the link in the first comment. Okay, I'm going to pin the QR code or the link. And we also have a free downloadable PDF. It's also in the description. So I came up with more of these. Okay, so it's like the CEO swap, sentence swap. So you can compare the junior version of phrases and sentences, and we have tips on how to use the executive version. You can download that. All you need to do is opt in. You just need to put your email and it's going to be emailed to you. Just to be sure, check your spam. Sometimes we have our students, they say that they cannot download it or it did not arrive. So just click opt in first and then you take a look in your spam folder. It might be in that folder. Okay. All right. So I'll see you in the next stream, maybe tomorrow or Thursday. Okay. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.